This week we're covering the men's and women's basketball playoffs. We've got highlights from the women's soccer, lacrosse, and volleyball games. We get to know student athletes and check out how the men's and women's bowling teams did at the WHAC championship. So let's get to it as the LTU Sports Report starts right now. Hey everyone, welcome to the LTU Sports Report. I'm your host, Elizabeth Kuhn, and we want to give a shout out to Lawrence Technological University who makes this show possible and our sponsors at Henry Ford Sports Medicine. Up first, we've got footage from the men's and women's basketball playoffs.
The men's basketball team hit the road for their second playoff appearance as the Blue Devils headed to Rochester, Michigan to take on the number 1 seed in the WHAC tournament, the Warriors of Rochester University. Both teams were quick to score in the first half as Beavers and Ivanovic would both hit their threes, but Rochester would take the lead with 42 points on the board going into the second half. Coming off of the break, LTU would drive down the court, getting 37 points, but struggled to keep up. The Warriors' offensive prowess was just too much in the end, winning the game with a final score of 80-59. Heading over to women's basketball as they went to Ann Arbor for their opening round of the WHAC conference to take on Concordia. Jumping right in, the Blue Devils were led by Kendall Fisher, knocking down 10 points in the first half, followed by senior Taryn Klein with 7 points. But the Cardinals would take the lead 44-22 going into halftime. Coming out of the break, the Blue Devils were looking to bounce back as senior Emily Langolf would score behind the three-point line. The women's team, however, would also fall short in the end as Concordia won this one 77-66.
The women's soccer team took on Rochester last week. Let's head over to the Blue Devil Stadium for those highlights.
The Lawrence Tech women's soccer team is back in action at Blue Devils Stadium. LTU has struggled to find the back of the net since coming back from the pandemic break, only scoring 1 goal in their last 2 games. However, the Blue Devils have dominated in the WHAC, giving up just 3 goals so far in WHAC play. Can their dominance continue here tonight? Starting in the first half, it was all Blue Devils, and it would be the captain herself, Laura Silverman, who nets the first goal of the game just 2 minutes in. Lawrence Tech takes an early 1-0 lead. Later on in the first, it will be the young phenomenon Jenny Deere who nets the next 2 goals of the game, giving Lawrence Tech a commanding 3-0 lead going into the break. Coming back from the half, the onslaught would continue as freshman Andre Williams scores her first career goal as a Blue Devil. Coming right behind her will be the Ann Arbor native Diana Hill, blasting one to the back of the net for one of her 2 goals on the day. With an all-around team effort, Lawrence Tech would run away with this one, winning 7-1 the final. Deere would lead the Blue Devils, scoring 3 goals on the day, ending her day with a hat trick.
It's a great feeling, but all thanks to my teammates. The passes we make, the runs that people make that open up gaps for me, and just the communication overall is what I think is what leads us to our goals.
We had a lot of pent-up energy. We were anticipating this game. We were looking excited for it, anticipating it. After 2 losses, the team was getting a little down and we really needed to win. So after 1 goal went in, the rest just kind of came.
Throughout the show, we'll get to know 2 student athletes. So let's meet one of them right now.
My name is Ian. I'm a track and field athlete for Lawrence Tech and I'm a freshman. Probably Rod Wave. My favorite song is The Greatest by Rod Wave. That song gets me hyped for anything, gets me motivated all the time. I can listen to that song like 20 times a day over and over. Chinese food, Asian food, chicken and rice, things like that, fried rice. That's probably my favorite food. Sha'Carri Richardson or Rihanna, that's probably the main 2.
The women's lacrosse team headed south to Cumberland, Kentucky for a top 10 showdown. Let's roll the highlights.
The women's lacrosse team had a 7-hour trek over the weekend to southern Kentucky to take on the University of the Cumberland's Patriots A tight battle always between these two teams, and this game was no different. The Blue Devils had to shake off their road legs in the first half as the game was lopsided early.
Ball inside, shot, and a goal by number 10, Katie Waits, assisted by number 8, Abby Smitowski. And just like that, the Blue Devils have closed the gap.
But it would be one of their captains, Katie Waits, leading the charge in the second, notching 5 goals, followed closely by Ashley Sherry with 4.
Pressure by Churchley.
Good defense there by Hannah Churchley, knocking the ball loose, but Wallagore once again able
Shot
to pick it back
and
up.
a goal for Lawrence Tech. Number 2, Bella Van Buren, and that looked like it was an assist by number 14, Caitlin Wallagora. And once again, Lawrence Tech has narrowed it to a 1-goal advantage.
Unfortunately, it was a little bit too late for LTU as the Patriots held on to a lead the whole match and would take this one 12-10, the final score.
Now let's find out how our tennis teams did last weekend.
Men's tennis was back on the courts this past Saturday for a morning and afternoon doubleheader against the UNOH Racers and Davenport University. They were trying to gain some confidence this weekend, but unfortunately dropped the first match, losing to the Racers 4-0. In the afternoon slate, Alexander Tamiro and Patrick Pushbach set the tone early for their team as they were able to win their match in straight sets with the final score of 6-4, but unfortunately LTU would drop 3 in a row, now falling short against Davenport with a final of 4-3. The women's tennis team competed against the same teams in the back-to-back, falling to the Racers 1-4, but flipping the script against Davenport, winning that one 4-3. Those matches were led by Samantha Cohn and Una Kincher. Both LTU teams will be back on the courts March 3rd as the teams will travel to Findlay, Ohio to play Findlay University. The Lawrence Tech women's volleyball team had no trouble in their match on Friday in Lima, Ohio, as they were able to cap off a 3-0 victory against UNOH on the road.
And it's played for a point on the far side by Jessica Lodge.
LTU started off hot from the very first serve of the match and never looked back. The Blue Devils won the first set 25-19. The next 2 sets, however, were much more difficult, with LTU only winning each by just 2 and 3 points.
Good defense by the Devils. And that's going to go high off of the floor, and then everybody watches it fall to the floor, and that's it.
With Isabella McDonald and Madeline Hudson each registering 15 and 14 kills, respectively. This now moves LTU up to 7th in the WHAC standings, but a big confidence boost like this will definitely help them try to muster a late push to move up the standings.
Who are they going to set? McDonald.
Who do you
See you
think
later.
they're gonna set?
And there it is.
We're going to take a short break to hear from our sponsors, but we'll have more LTU highlights for you when we get back, so stay tuned.
If you're a high school athlete with the dream of playing college sports, Lawrence Technological University wants you to recruit yourself. LTU offers over 24 varsity sports for men and women, along with several dozen world-class undergraduate programs. Athletic and academic scholarships are available in all sports, including its newest additions, competitive cheer and dance, esports, women's hockey, and men's and women's track and field. Visit LTUathletics.com and recruit yourself. Lawrence Tech, where Blue Devils dare.
Welcome back. As promised, we've got highlights from our men's and women's bowling teams as they competed in the WHAC Championship.
Fresh off a regular season title, the LTU men's bowling team made the excursion over to Imperial Lanes in Clinton Township to compete in the 2021 WHAC Conference Tournament. Taking home the crown in the previous 4 years, the Blue Devils were the ones to watch for on Saturday the 27th. Consistent was one of the words Coach Joe Alvord used to describe the team for the final WHAC event of the season, and he was right on point. Throughout the 16 Baker games of qualifying, the LTU men never had a game under 190, but only had one game in the 240s. However, consistency showed to be key as they settled into third place with sets of 879, 871, 814, and another 814. The Blue Devils averaged 211, which would put them up against the Cardinals of Concordia University for the first round of match play. For the best 3 of 5 series between the 2 and 3 seeds, each game was a nail-biter. However, the Cardinals were able to edge out each of the 3 games by scores of 213 to 201, 228 to 225, and 223 to 211. Concordia would eventually drop the final match to Indiana Tech, 3 games to 0.
The men's team bowled excellent today. We communicated great. We threw the ball excellent.
So we really came in with a game plan based off of practice. We executed well. In the end, it just kind of worked out in our favor. And sometimes that's bowling.
Season awards were also handed out on Saturday, where the Blue Devils received some well-deserved accolades from their regular season performances. Along with taking home the regular season title, freshman Michael Weber of Tonawanda, New York, cleaned house by making first-team All-Conference, nabbing Newcomer of the Year, and even achieved the honor of WHAC Player of the Year.
It's a really good feeling because I know I did it to help the team here, and we really are. It really is a great group of guys to bowl good for. But yeah, it does feel nice to bring home some hardware for yourself and be the best bowler here in the WHAC Conference.
Senior Cody Johnston also earned himself a spot on first-team All-Conference for his performance throughout the regular season, while fellow senior Taryn Heersma and sophomore Jacob Kajawa qualified for second-team All-Conference.
Was honored to be on first-team All-Conference, and that's just based off of our 4 tournaments in the year and based off of average.
We took home a lot of awards today, including a lot of all-academic second-team awards, first-team awards, specifically Taryn Heersma for the Champion of Character.
It's awarded to just a good leader on your team, and I am really proud to win that award.
Head coach John Putty also received Coach of the Year honors for leading the team to a triumphant regular season. The Blue Devils' next opportunity to emerge victorious will be at the Falcon Classic on March 13th. After knocking off Indiana Tech during the regular season and earning their first regular season title since 2017, the women's bowling team was poised to double down on this year's success and grab themselves a WHAC tournament title on Saturday in Clinton Township. There were many ups and downs for the 16 Baker games of qualifying for the Blue Devils at the WHAC tournament. Games of 234, 232, 217, and 215 were the highs, but a few games below 170 as some lows. In the end, though, LTU settled into third place after averaging 189 for the 16 games. They would then take on the 2-seeded Saints of Aquinas in match play. To start the best-of-5 series, they took a 1-0 lead, winning Game 1 198 to 162. In Game 2, they flirted with perfection after tailing the first 9 strikes, but went on to shoot 278 and take Game 2 as well. After dropping Game 3, LTU rebounded quickly to take Game 4 to win the series 3-1 and move on to the finals to take on rival Indiana Tech. The Warriors of Indiana Tech cruised through the first couple games, taking Game 1 222 to 157 and Game 2 258 to 193. Game 3 was much closer as it came down to the 10th frame, but the Blue Devils couldn't make up the difference and dropped Game 3 172 to 165.
Qualifying went really, really well. I mean, we struggled in a couple of games, but in general, I think we bowled the way we wanted. We executed the shots the way we wanted. We played the lanes the way we wanted. And then we got into match play, and the first set, really, really well. Everything went our way. But it seemed when we got to those middle pair down there, it just, the shot was a lot tighter. We had no room. We had no miss room.
I think that we did pretty well. We stayed together like as a team, and we actually kept our energy up. We did have a low point, but we were able to come back, and just in match play, we had good luck. It just didn't carry for us. So
you miss, it doesn't matter because the rest of the team is there to pick you up and keep the game moving. And so that's how we got through qualifying. We had a few rough games in there, but we just kept building it back up with each other, getting loud, cheering, just being there for each other as a team.
Season awards were also given out on Saturday, and the Blue Devils took a clean sweep of them. WHAC Player of the Year went to Victoria Giardina, averaging .211 for the season, while Caroline Holowenko took home WHAC Newcomer of the Year honors. Coach Kevin Weems also earned Coach of the Year after the Blue Devils emerged victorious during the regular season.
They put the time in when they practice hard, they practice smart. We say practice with purpose, and I believe that's what we've really turned that on this year, and I think it shows in our bowling. If you look at our percentages, they're way up from where they were last year, and I see it as only getting better as time goes on.
I don't really try to take days off. I put work in. I'm normally the first one I practice, the last one I practice, and I'll go out on my own, and I think that being practicing and staying with it, you just can't take no breaks.
Senior Giardina and freshman Holowenko both qualified for first team All-Conference, while junior Bailey Gibson grabbed a spot on second team All-Conference. They'll hit the road on March 13th to compete in the Falcon Classic, hosted by Bowling Green University, for their next chance to grab a title.
Esports is taking off at LTU, and we caught up with one of our newest teammates.
So I'm really excited to bring in Charles. He has a unique gameplay style where he plays with only the left Joy-Con, and I think that that's super cool and not like anybody else.
Looking forward to being able to be part of the team here. The Smash Brothers scene is kind of niche in of itself, and I'm all for helping it grow and get more people in. When I came to LTU at first, I started to go to more tournaments on my own and even helped run the weekly Smash Brothers tournaments that we held here before COVID. For someone coming to LTU, I'd say use your time wisely while you're here, as it goes by quickly, and make sure you have a headstrong work ethic.
The women's volleyball team took on Madonna University. Let's head over to Don Riddler to see those highlights.
The Lawrence Tech women's volleyball team is back home to face the Crusaders of Madonna University. The Crusaders come into tonight's matchup with a 5-3 record in WHAC play. The young core of the Blue Devils seem to be finding their rhythm as of late, but the Blue Devils have had trouble closing out matches. Will LTU close this one out and walk away with a win? Starting in the first set, it was all LTU as the ladies in blue were clicking on all cylinders. Led by the senior Jessica Lodge, the Blue Devils put a dominant first set performance with a 25-17 win. The Crusaders would storm back, taking over the match with a stellar play and would own the rest of the match, winning 3 in a row. Lawrence Tech would go on to drop this one 3-1. Here's what head coach Ed Rule and Nicole Hyduke had to say after the game.
I think we just kind of got in our heads a little bit. They're a great team and have great shots, play great volleyball, and I think we're just still trying to get our rhythm together, and I think once we do that, we're going to be able to stop them.
I think anytime you get to play Madonna, you're pretty fired up, and they are always a good team, so it's fun to play them. And then we were able to match their intensity and match their energy, and we did really well. So when we can come out and win the serve pass, we're going to be a tough out for anybody.
Anna Lewis, I'm a freshman and I play football. My favourite TV show would probably be The Office, just because there's lots of seasons and it's really funny. My favourite musical artist is the Arctic Monkeys, which is a British band. They're really good. My favourite animal is probably a sloth. I just think they're quite cool. They sleep all day, which is kind of a good thing. My favourite vacation spot would have to be Portugal because it's really sunny and it's not too far away from where I live.
That's our show for this week. If you want to stay in the loop with everything happening at LTU, be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast, LTU Blue Devils in Depth, where we go behind the scenes with student athletes. Again, I'm your host, Elizabeth Kuhn. Have a great weekend, everybody.